Hello folks, this is a VARTA AGM battery. It's a closed type, as you know. It's for bike, many bikes have it. I have an FJ 1200 that has this battery, but this is for a friend I'm preparing now. He has a Varadero, I think, or something like that, I can't remember really. So those come like this in a box. They have the battery, which is dry charged, but it is empty. I mean, it doesn't have any acid inside, and it shouldn't have until you're ready to use it. It must be sealed, because if air comes in there, you have to fill it up, or else after a few hours or days, I'm not sure about it, it's not good anymore. So those are TX14, but it's a 12 amp hours. I don't know why they say 14. Well, it's always a confusion. It's a cheap one, relatively, but of sufficient quality. There's some cats around here, as you can hear. So we're going to use sulfuric acid, and of course it's dangerous, I know that. We all know that. That's why it comes here like this. Well, I won't force that because I'm not wearing protection yet. So it's highly advised to wear at least something like that. Okay? Those are okay. The protection is not really. It doesn't have to be full with those batteries, because you really are not going really to hassle with the acid. It's almost automatic. But if it was another kind of open battery where you have to, put in every cell and everything, then you have really to dress up. Now it's sufficient to protect your face and hand, and of course you can have one of those too. It's nice. And then you go to the kitchen, have some scrambled eggs or something like that. Anyway, it's awfully hot here today, so I'm not wearing a full suit, but the least you can do is have some plain gloves. Those won't protect you for a big spillage, but they will do the job for just for the things we need now. So, and it's good to have one of those too. Okay, so you wear this and you have all your face protected. I'm not going to do that now because I can't have the video with it. So the only difficult part here is I don't have scissors with me, and not having scissors is a problem. It's better to be careful. So we're ready to open our acid here. Okay, so we'll put our protection, maybe gloves too. As I said, it's really hot here today, so I'm not going to put any sleeves, etc., since those batteries are easy to fill and there is no spillage under normal circumstances. Okay, beautiful. So let's go. This liquid has to come inside here, and it's quite easy if you've done it once. So the thing to know and not forget is that when you take this black strip, it's nylon or something like this, you have to keep it because you'll put it here after. Okay? When everything's finished, you'll have to plug the battery, which is then plugged forever. So now funny, but I didn't think to take this out. Okay. So now we are ready to open our battery. Okay. Has the screws together, and we immediately turn this, and very carefully, with just enough pressure, without squeezing, we push it down. As you see, we have bubbles. You can see that, okay? So all well, except one, huh? Nah, this one is going down too. This one, no. And that's going down too. Okay. So some of them are faster, some are slower, but it's clear that everything goes bubbling down. Okay. I'll make it easier for you to see. See that? Okay. Okay. So this way there's no danger of spilling acid outside. As you see, it takes some time. But it's going well. Makes a funny noise too. It's like an old diesel single cylinder engine. So let's put those things back. Okay, those are the screws for the battery, for the electrical connections. I remind you, do not discard this. Very important. So stop making noise. Well, of course, since okay. Okay, this says it's dangerous, we know that. You're supposed to put it here, but it's full of warning signs. So. Okay, it's easy to see. There's nothing here, and we have to leave the battery like this for some time, and I'll be back in a moment. So we just filled the battery. It's becoming a little bit hot. This is normal, and we're going to carefully take those out and put them aside, and then remember the thing I said, do not lose it? I almost lost it. And we just put it here, and being careful not to spill anything and not to overturn the battery and empty the whole thing. Just finger press it. Wow. You don't use tools for this, okay? You just finger press it hard. You don't use tools, because if you use a hammer, for example, you might damage the battery. You might. It all depends how well you know your hammering skills, and I would prefer to do it by hand. I always did it by hand. Never had a problem. So this battery is now closed, and as I said, it's pre-charged, so it should have some juice. Some people just put it on the bike and go like this. I really don't like that. So at 12.7, very nice, but it needs charging. First, it has to stay for 2 hours. Small ones stay for 2 hours, bigger ones stay less, I don't know why. And you have to leave it to cool a little bit, because it's a little bit hot now. And after it stands for an hour, so the absorbent glass mat, there's a fiberglass mat inside every cell, and this is absorbing the acid we put. So the absorbing glass mat is gonna really, like a sponge, take all the acid inside and settle without any voids, and then we'll charge. If we try to charge now, we might burn some things inside which are not yet have not yet absorbed enough of the liquid. So put it aside on your marks. Okay, at about 1 AM we're going to begin charging. By the way, let's say how we charge. Okay, this is valid for almost any battery of this kind, even the ones that are open. Okay, so let's pretend this is the battery. Okay, and sorry, no, that's wrong. We have our charger here, okay, and our battery. Our battery will go to the charger, and it's considered as a resistance. So initially, when it's, I don't know, 70%, for example, as now, it's a low resistance. Low resistance means a high current will go here. Okay, so since current is proportional to voltage, if you put here 14.4, which is the normal voltage of charging, you'll have a lot of current going through, and this should not be charged with more than 1/10 of their, which is 1.2 amperes. 12 ampere hours of capacity, you have to charge at 1.2 maximum, but this is the maximum. Now if you put the charger, a blind charger, it will go up to 3 amps or something, and this destroys the battery or cuts months of its life. So what do? You take a charger that is a constant current charger, and it can be adjusted to limit its current. So even though the battery will ask for 3 amps, for example, this charger will give, for example, 0.6 amps. This will mean that to obtain only 0.6, you have to lower the voltage. So the charger will do this automatically, and you will see that go down, I don't know, to 12.7, and then start augmenting the voltage when the battery starts to ask less and less current. Okay, this has to be done with a constant current charger. You can use, as I do, a power supply, as long as it has the possibility to limit its current, and of course have variable voltage too, because if it's a fixed voltage 20 volts, it doesn't work. and we will charge the battery so that it absorbs at least twice or thrice its capacity, which means that with 0.6 amps we will have to pass through 24 to maybe 36 ampere hours. This means for 24, for example, and if we were to simplify things, if we were charging at 1 amp, we need 24 hours to pass through the battery 24 ampere hours with 1 ampere charging. Okay? So this means we have to leave it for 1.5 days on charging, but always, I'm saying again, on a small amperage. And of course we have to monitor the temperature. But with 0.6 amp, a battery like this will never overheat, especially when new. The whole point, so, is charge with low current. I charge at 0.6 amps the new batteries of 12 ampere hour. But you can go up to 0.8 if you're maybe 1, but I wouldn't do that. And charge till battery draws 2 or even 3 times the ampere hour capacity. In this case, 24 to 36 ampere hours. This with 0.5 amps, it's 4 days or 6 days. You find it crazy? Maybe 6 days charging. If you are on 0.5 amps, you can't leave it a month. And the first charge, it's important to do that on the first charge. Doesn't matter if you don't do it on other charges, you know, once in a while. If the bike doesn't move, the battery may be a bit discharged, so you'll do a small charge of 10 hours or something, always with a small amperage. Never exceed 1.2 amps on a battery of 12 amp hours. Always a 10. Okay, hope it's clear. I'm not good at that. In 2 hours time we'll meet again. Okay, so we're back. Almost 2 hours elapsed. Doesn't work? Oh, okay. 1 hour 52 minutes. The battery is no more hot. I think it's barely more than the place. So 29.6. What's my hand? Yeah, okay, 30. But as you can see, this is essentially 2 degrees difference with the environment. It's hot tonight. So, anyway, that's fine. Okay? And I have a small device here. Those are relatively cheap on the internet. You can buy them boxed around 15 euros or dollars. I bought this one without a box. It said it had a box, but the box didn't arrive, so I made one of myself. And this is a variable power supply. At this moment I have pre-regulated it to say, yeah, that's my, okay. Pre-regulated to output 14.4 volts, which is a good voltage for a charging battery. And I have regulated the amperage, the maximum amperage that the machine can give on its output, even if you short circuit it, is 0.60 amps. So okay, constant current. Good. So when I put this here, the battery now has 12.74. It had 12.71 before resting, so there's no big difference, but it has the rest so that everything soaks in. And then when I have this in the off position, and we'll put the charger, the power supply. It's a power supply actually. Put the power supply there, and we can see that the battery is 12.75. And when we turn this thing on, okay, it goes at 0.6 amps, even though the battery asks much more. But this is why the voltage changes very, very slowly. And this protects the battery, and we can go and charge and charge and charge for hours and days in a row in order to put, output, and re-put, and in this way prime the battery. The more you do that before asking power from the battery, the best it is. But it must be before you ask power. If you put it on the bike and press the starter motor 2-3 times and then you use it for a day, you can't do this procedure anymore. It has to be new. Maybe I could wait after it is after the 2-hour period. Could be 3-hour period or 7-hour period. I don't think this matters, but you know, it's better to finish at once. So now we have 0.6 amps, and it's gonna go like this. If I crank up the amperage by very little, okay, you'll see the voltage will go up, okay, very fast. But this is not what we want to do. So the machine, this power supply, will provide a constant current of 0.6 amps, and whatever the battery asks, it will adjust the tension accordingly so that it's always 0.6 amps. But when the battery charges after a day or so, this voltage will be 13.8, and then it will finally ideally go up to 1440. And ideally also it should stop asking for current, but this doesn't happen in practice. Okay, so this is how you initialize an AGM battery, and it's good to have one of those. Of course, there are many automatic chargers who do that, but they have 2 or 3 predetermined programs. Instead, here you can really, you're flexible, you can do whatever you want, but you have to know what you're doing. So all those can be found in the internet. So that's where I learned them too, even though I have many years of expertise. But actually, years ago we didn't have this cheap and very, very efficient power supplies. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll be back when the battery is almost full to show how different this will be. Bye.